Hello duck people, here is all of Brimstone, my ruddy duck from 2025. I'm using water mixable oils, and this is a Federal Duck Stamp entry. This is actually a practice painting, but I didn't know it at the time because this painting doesn't go well. You can see the background is already painted, and that's actually acrylic airbrushing. I wasn't super satisfied with it. I immediately start painting over it with oils, and I'm realizing I'm going to have to do that anyway, and it's not really going to blend in or feel the same. So kind of a wasted session. See, I immediately cover it all, which is very satisfying. And then I can't resist but doing too much detail right at the beginning, so I go in for his eye because I'm not totally liking the painting so far. The true issue I'm having is that my oil paint is sinking in. I use too much oil, it's drying too fast and matte, and I scrap it. Oh, I'm done. Now it's time for the real Brimstone. I've graphite transferred my drawing onto my board, which is how I start all of my duck stamps, and then I go in with a wash. Honestly, my first steps are kind of random. I know that I will want the background done first, so I give that a layer, and I do the darkest spots, the shadows of Brimstone, and the shadows of the water. I don't have a process that I stick to every time. I'm kind of just freeballing it, I'm not gonna lie. I've already given Brimstone the highlight in his eye, something I cannot resist doing. Now I'm giving a second layer to the background. Joke's on me, this background will never be done. Here's a comparison to what the first one was looking like to what it's looking like now. To me, it's a huge improvement. The oil paint still feels and looks like oil paint. My goals for this painting were to work up layers and not do the lightest lights, the highlights, until the end. It's definitely something I struggle with, and I wanted to really control my levels of contrast. Here's where I'm at this point. Honestly, this might be one session still, I'm not really sure. I never really liked my paintings at the beginning, and I think I tried to rush it too fast. Here I'm already going for some highlights. That white is really bright, and this angle is bad with the gloss of the oil paint, but making good progress. Certainly, I don't think... Oh, I had a little snack there. The background is... Honestly, I like it just how it is right now, but I'm doing a lot of foreground detail, and just... Oh, there I go. I'm like, actually... I need to figure this out before I get completely carried away, because every time I do the background again, I go over his head a little bit and it creates layers of paint that's kind of hard to avoid seeing. But I'm loving the details on his body so far. I had a great photo reference for my ruddy duck this year, which is why I'm doing such a plain background, because I really wanted to focus on just using a good photo reference, because I never really get to do that. And now I'm really going in with the highlights, trying to make his chest feel volumetric. Achieving volume is my goal throughout every painting I do. It's something I know that I've struggled with. I paint kind of flat, I think because of how dark I make the darks and how light I make the lights. I think I just need to like blur things a little bit more, and they would feel a bit more naturalistic. Oh, I thought this would be kind of fun. I put my phone out so you could see like how long a song was and how much I get done, and just what I was listening to. I actually listen to a lot of audiobooks now when I'm painting my duck stamps. At this point, I'm just trying to get everything to a place where I like it, where I feel like I could pull this off, essentially. The feathers on his mid area were really intricate, and they were tripping me up for a while. I didn't want to go too hard on them, and usually when I'm frustrated I go back to working on something else, so I worked on his head a little bit there, which I do think was nice, but I applaud myself for not going too light on the highlights. Now I'm doing the background again. I want it to feel atmospheric, kind of like foggy, or achieve some depth, so it feels like there is an existing world behind him. He's looking great. He's not as crisp as he is at the end, but I am really happy with him. He looks like the Brimstone that I know and love, and I really love his chest there. That part came much more naturally to me, I think, because of how dark the shadow was. His tail, I'm not going to do until quite a while into it, but here I go, still working on those middle wing feathers. I don't know. Oh, and now I'm at my hometown, my house that I grew up in. Does anyone else do this? I'm like pretending I'm painting so I could tell if my easel's set up at the right height before I go for it. But I always end up bringing my duck stamp somewhere because I'm never done with it. Peep Joe's dog in the background. Now I'm back home. Here's some real-time action. Now it's very obvious where the background is not blended. So here I go again, making it lighter this time. This is truly like the death of me for this painting. Ugh, that one spot. Gotta blend that. I think the more I move him around, the more I'm not happy with the background color. Also, one horrible thing about me is that I never mix enough of a color. So every time I need to blend back into the background, it's not really the same color as before, and that's an issue, and that's something I definitely want to work on in this upcoming year. Mix more of a color, like honestly save the color somehow, put it in a thing that won't let it dry out. But at this point, I'm pretty happy with how Brimstone looks, and I'm more focused on the water now. Water is always a bit of a challenge for me. I'm referencing directly the water that was in the photo that I took, but I changed the colors of it to hopefully better match the atmosphere that I'm going for. Oh, and you know what? That background again. I just went in with a palette knife. I think I directly matched it to the color I had on my iPad, and I was like, this is what I need the back to look like. I needed some depth behind his rear. And then I do some more details on his head, never ending, and now I'm getting into the water some more. It's going fine. I think my issue when I paint water is that I'm thinking too much about the individual shapes of the reflections than I am thinking about a moving body of water and how it would interact with my subject and be moving. And I think that hindered me for quite some time, but I'm slowly working up the highlights. I think at some point I kind of just stop looking at my reference and just kind of go for it more, which is helpful. I'm definitely the kind of painter who works in sections, like building up a section until I like it and then moving on to the next part. Maybe it'd be more beneficial for me to spread it out and make sure like that color or that tone is everywhere before I move on. But alas, I paint how I paint. Oh, all right. You know it, you love it. Back to that background, going the darkest dark so far. I think I never wanted to go this dark, but I wasn't liking the kind of yellowy color, and now I'm just heavily putting on more paint. At this point I said screw it, I'm not being careful with it, I'm gonna freaking mix this until I like it. And I put enough paint on there that I didn't have to worry about that. And I do like how it ended up. I did some areas which were lighter than the others, and it created a bit more interest. You could see his head tufts were covered up. My paint strokes in the background now definitely followed the contour of his form, which isn't the best, but this is it. This is the background color that I end up with. And now it's time to remake him, finish the foreground, and then add reeds and his tail, and honestly a lot more. Like, I know I've been painting for so long now, but it's just so many hours, and I do need to blend the foreground water with the background, which honestly at this point was the easiest part. He's looking pretty smooth. My water is not looking pretty smooth, but it's time to really knock out the left side of this painting, because honestly that's like the only moment of real interest besides the duck. So I'm finally laying in groundwork for where the reeds are gonna go. Reeds, I kind of have a love-hate relationship. They don't come super naturally to me, but every time I do them, I end up learning more about them and liking them more. And then this little area of water was challenging, but essential in grounding him in this space. Oh, real time breaking the fourth wall. Here we go. This is what I'm actually doing. How slow it is. Let's get into it. The slight rumbling water on the left here was not as easy as I was hoping, but again, just trying to work darkest to lightest and slowly building up that volume. Also guys, if anyone can tell me what I'm doing wrong, this entire process was filmed on my Canon camera, but I could not figure out the time-lapse setting. Each of my videos is like 6 to 8 seconds long, and it sucked at it. It would just stop recording after like maybe an hour of painting. That's why I look at the camera a lot. I swear I mess with the settings to last longer, but alas. At this point, I'm watching Wednesday as I paint because I was sick of listening to music, and I'm really honing in on the reeds. I'm focusing on the shadows, the highlights, making these tiny sticks look as volumetric as they possibly can. Honestly, I'm not sure if the shadows that are on the other reeds are very accurate, but I think they add a level of interest that I like and I enjoy doing. Now the final foreground piece, his stiff tail, what makes Ruddy Ducks very cool, and I liked doing the white part on his rump there. Finishing his tail really made the whole thing come together, and people were nagging about it for so long, and that gave me the perspective on what I needed to change in the background to make sure nothing was standing out too much or looked unconvincing at all. This is the part where I get kind of nervous because I know the end is nearing, and I'm hyper focused on all the little parts, adding tiny little details to what I think needs a little bit more oomph. And now he's done. Brimstone, these videos are kind of chaotic. They're in multiple settings with bad white balance and different levels of detail. But there he is outside. Here he is. I love how boofy he is. I want to touch his bill. The water I'm proud of for at this stage in my life. I like how it turned out. The background, I don't hate it. It could have been something else entirely, but I like how it turned out. These are my favorite reads that I've done so far. That water droplet, yep. Up close, the water's definitely lacking as much depth as the rest of him has, but I'm not mad about it. Ugh, I love his baby blue. Bill, I love him. Yas. Now here's the entire process, but only in 15 seconds. Brimstone was number 271 out of 292 entries, and he did not make it to the second round. I got 2 out of 5 ins on the first round. Not the best I've done, but also not the worst, and I will forever love him. Thanks for watching. I hope it was a bit insightful.